This is Rumi's poem, Don't Go Back to Sleep. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the doorsill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. Let's take in one more deep full body breath together, inhaling and letting go. So welcome again, friends. I'm really glad you could be here today. We tried to put this event on last week, and it was an odd experience to be at Wonderwell, away from the vicinity of the storm and still to have a regional internet outage. So we had to reschedule for this week. And in this moment, I'm feeling even more emotion than I expected. I'm looking around at who's here, and I'm seeing Sangha members and some people I've never met, and I'm seeing Marianne and Richard, who are those here that I know had direct experience of Hurricane Helene near to where I live. And I'm seeing Kriti, who literally in collaboration with my mom, who's also here, organized to help Mark and I, unbeknownst to us, find an escape, a way out from the mountain where we were stuck for about 6 days, and where it was not safe to leave. There was no way to escape. And so just extreme, the generosity of spirit we've seen and the gratitude we feel for all who have rallied on our behalf and on the behalf of so many has been an extreme life-changing gift. Thank you. Part of what I am present to today is that in the aftermath of this experience, I've been very aware of both the devastation, the grief that so many who we know personally are experiencing, and have also been more aware than ever of the spiritual invitation of the times we are living in, the spiritual call of living in the age of climate crisis, what this invites in us. At some point, human consciousness needs to change, needs to shift. With the reminders of how quickly things are shifting on planet Earth, how quickly things are moving in ways that we never expected, how quickly this movement has accelerated. I feel deep gratitude in my heart for the opportunity of these times. And so those of you who know me know I've been teaching about this stuff since I was young, for decades. For as long as I've had a spiritual practice, this has gone hand in hand with what is the opportunity of this time. But through this recent experience, there have been new awarenesses that have been seeded and unlocked, and I don't know how they will come through in this time, but I'm here to share that there's a lot that is alive in me and moving through me. My hope today is that I might share some reflections, and then we can have a community conversation, because I'm equally interested and curious about what is moving through you in the aftermath, okay? And just a show of hands, how many of you, I see a couple people have fallen off, just so you know, back where we live in Black Mountain, many people still don't have running water in the tap or internet connection. So a couple people I saw try to join today who are not still here with us. Raise your hand if you're someone who was part of the hurricane directly. anyone who might be here today. Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad you're here, Richard and Elizabeth, Marianne, Eric. Just so, so, so grateful to see you here. And Mark and I will be coming back to the area next weekend to take care of things at home. So visits to be had then, okay? How many of you have loved ones who were in direct experience in any of the 5 states? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so first to acknowledge alongside the grief we feel and the prayers that we feel, recognizing the invitation that has arisen through this experience and that arises every time we're shaken awake. What happened at our home started to change gears within half a second. We realized our lives are in danger. Within half a second, an entire room of our home was gone in a way we had not imagined would occur that day. And then over the next hour or so, we experienced the heart racing emergence of, holy shit, our lives are in danger and we're not sure how to escape. And so, as you all know, Mark managed to, at the moment that the house actually came down, dive through the front pane glass sliding door without cutting himself. And because I was further back, I got taken down in a way I had never imagined, into the underworld, into the mud, into a tumble of debris, of earth, of water, of all of it. And it's a miracle. It's completely a miracle. And we say that each day. We acknowledge it each day. Everything that's happened for us through this has been a miracle. Not everyone made it. And not everyone went without losing loved ones. So alongside the devastation, a few things that I want to emphasize and just invite into our awareness. The first is that I feel deeply, more deeper than ever, that the Earth's changes are calling us. The Earth's changes are calling us. We do need to organize and to be more conscious of what is happening so we can take responsible actions, so we can learn to be, as we speak of in Buddhism, bodhisattvas, ready to serve, as is what I witnessed from people of all walks of life involved in this, especially for communities of color and the global South, where the acceleration is happening even more. We also need to be aware of the invitation for each and every one of us. A hurricane of this magnitude strips every facade away in an immediate swoop. It strips every facade away. We watched our home, all of our belongings, everything of the sort of world we thought we were living in at that time, the world I thought I would be directly engaged with over the coming month, when I was supposed to be at home for the month of October after a big summer of teaching and traveling for a long-awaited kind of sabbatical, just a month of rest. So I'm joking with life. This is what life had in mind instead. When everything is washed away, the gift is, and this is the gift of this occurrence, and also so many conversations I've had of people who have also experienced disasters of this event and historical accounts I've read of disasters of this extreme. People come together and wake up to what's always here, but what we often are not wakening to because the surface facade seems so real. So what we witnessed the day of the occurrence, in the entire aftermath, was a coming together, benevolence, a generosity of spirit that expresses, we are in this together. There is nothing else. This goes beyond party lines. This goes beyond people we quote unquote like or don't like. This goes beyond people who are like us or not like us. We are in this together. And what I saw was a kind of starvation or hunger satisfied in every human I encountered in the time that followed the storm, where people's hearts were burst open, yes, alongside devastation, alongside loss, but burst open in a way that people had been longing for. Just to pause, to take in a deep breath together. And just a show of hands of how many of you are aware of in your own life ways that you collude with or entertain or go along with the facade of things sometimes. Show of hands, let's just keep it real, keep it honest. How often we sometimes go along with the these people versus that people, those people story, or the facade that the illusion of control, we can control life. Even during COVID, we were reminded abruptly that, oh my gosh, all the attention I've given to my calendar this year is BS. It doesn't mean anything because the entire life schedule, the entire globe schedule has just been disrupted. So we keep getting these reminders to anchor more deeply. And let's all just metaphorically, wherever you're sitting, like drop your anchors right now, physically into the earth. Drop your seat more into gravity. We're reminded that this facade we're feeding, this surface reality, which is what, as far as I can tell, every wisdom tradition, spiritual pathway is here to help us wake up from. The earth too is helping us wake up, is helping us to remember, if we're willing to not go back to sleep. In the aftermath, we witnessed a kind of recognition that, oh, all the preparation that people think of engaging in, or some choose not to get ready for this kind of disaster. Certainly there are some practical things, and we might touch those today if you'd like to, that are useful and that served us in this situation. As an example, our neighbor, who we joke is MacGyver, who we were lucky enough to stay with in the aftermath, who had a working generator and a standing home, had just purchased the week before it happened, not expecting this in the least, a kind of, I don't even know what to call it, mountainous, crazy vehicle that allowed him to drive places in the muck for days afterwards and help people who needed help and get places where cars wouldn't, things of that nature. But overall, folks, the only preparation that there is for what is happening on our earth is preparing ourselves. And guess what? We can't prepare ourselves if we're busy entertaining too many stories of preparation. That takes us out of the moment, out of trust in life, out of emergence, out of 360 degrees awareness. Mark and I know that our lives were saved because we practice 360 degrees awareness day in and day out. Through meditation, through dance, we practice what it means to move in awareness. And this saved our lives. Surrendering for me in the moment that I thought I was being taken, I was being killed. I believe surrendering saved my life. And because my body was not in resistance, I didn't actually break any bones. I still am like, did that really happen? Did I really go down in that experience and I'm okay? It is a miracle. So reminding us that the primary preparation, in addition to ways and conversations we need to have about what it means to be more prepared. For instance, I believe everyone, and I'll be talking with my Sangha more about this, should do some kind of first aid, if not EMT training. We live in an age of emergency, and we live in an age of emergence. So knowing what it means to rest in stillness, to meet what just happened in all of its tumult, while having a wider awareness, letting the heart guide, letting awareness guide. It's a way that we recognize I am not in control. I am not in control. And there's a larger web, a mycelial network of intelligence, life, that I'm connected to and can guide me when I really let myself live from that place. Another piece that I want to talk about is just the recognition that community resiliency personal resiliency more and more, though some of you have heard me talk about this for years, but it's come together in a stronger way. It is our willingness to give and receive moment by moment, to let ourselves receive help, to show up to giving help. The miracle that I watched after the hurricane, it was a quality of heart-opening, selfless service that put everyone in a kind of wakefulness and joy at the same time as we were helping neighbors. Took 25 people to help one neighbor get unburied from the rubble. But it was such a relief at the same time for people who have felt conscious or unconsciously sad and lonely in a world that focuses on individual pursuit and emphasizes the myth of separation. So can we let these events, maybe without having to experience them directly, everyone, can we let these events remind us? Being a bodhisattva in today's world, if we're denying climate change, we can't show up to respond consciously to meet its invitation. If we're creating instead stories, which are so entertaining, I know, so great compassion for the stories we create, stories that explain and help our desire to know land somewhere, rather than acknowledging that emergence is the organizing principle of life on planet Earth. We live in emergence, and a great deal is emerging and changing on this earth right now. Just to pause, let's take in a deep breath together. There were wise gifts that our past selves had done, which were acts of conscious preparation. Like, we had 3 gardens on our property, and so while 2 got completely decimated, there was a fresh, healthy, untouched growing garden that we could eat from in the week when we were saying, how much food do we have to eat? The food we had set aside for maybe being snowed in for a week or something was untouchable, but we had a garden. And I just want to emphasize, it didn't matter in this time how many credit cards people have, or Bitcoin, or even gold. Garden produce mattered. Trading that with neighbors was something that occurred. We experience the Bodhisattva spirit in so many different ways, from how our neighbors showed up to each and every person showing up in what I've described as what it's like to live at a monastery together. It just means living in a way that our focus each day wasn't on individual wants. It was on this team. What can I do for the team today? And raise your hand if you know through your own life experience how much that's the deepest craving we all have, being part of a team. That's my deepest craving in life. That's what I live for every single day, living for the team. And so what does that mean when we're living in a world where so much of the emphasis of the news, of fake news, of what's happening through AI-produced social media, of what's happening in the momentum that is built of polarization and othering, points people to something so far from a sense of team. Our Sangha meets every Tuesday, the Fierce Compassion Sangha, and we practice the importance of cultivating Sangha, which means living community as a verb, living belonging and helping others to belong every single day, and recognizing the world as our Sangha. There's no point to Sangha if that is not our approach. The world is Sangha. And how many of you are just sort of aware? Not everyone here today is from the US, but before we approach the elections, of the wild, almost more than ever exaggerated polarization that we're seeing right now, some of the tensions around this moment, while at the same time our heart recognizes everyone as Sangha. Yeah. I want to open it up in a few minutes, and I'll share just a couple of more reflections. I felt sadness. I felt compassion. I felt anger. How in the aftermath, I witnessed conspiracy theories being pointed to and newscasters who were looking for sensationalism and drama, pointing to how ugly it could get between humans out there. And I want to just really seed a prayer in my heart that all of us who recognize the severe disconnect from truth that's going on can commit and recommit to standing even more fully in truth and in helping to, the way I like to say it, protect what we love rather than defend against what we fear. Protect what we love, life, what affirms life, rather than defend against what we fear. So just consider, we really do have in the surface mind, in the mind of separation, a false sense that we can control what's coming and that we have to control, that it's up to us. I had this wild experience of the place where I think I feel that I have the most control, my home, the place where I feel perhaps the most safe and at ease. Mark and I have cultivated such a warm, loving, beautiful, cozy sanctuary so that we can do our work of service in the world. And having the unexpected of that home, those trees, that earth, that water, assault me and nearly take my life. To be very direct, there was something quite liberating about it. This has been a liberation experience for me, and I'm grateful to be alive and to be receiving that. But it also pointed to the falsehood of the illusion of control. So when I hear about people focusing on prepping, I hope we can all find our middle way, a way that is grounded in the here and now rather than in stories of what could, what might happen. Because those stories take us away from living the life that's ours to live today. Each and every one of us could be taken today. We do not know when our time is. And our invitation is to be at peace with it whenever it is, to be at peace. And so feeding all the ways, whether it's actually over preparing, and I use that phrase because there's conscious preparing and then there's over preparing for some notion of difficult things that could happen, or whether it's how we prepare for a day. Just think about how often the mind of separation points people to even going on this trip and packing a bag. What can I pack for all the anxieties that might occur? This takes us away from now. This takes us away from learning to live in emergence. And emergence is all we have in preparation for the changes the earth is going through. I didn't know what would come through today because there's so much I do want to speak about in this time. And it will happen step by step. We're taking it day by day. But I would like to open it up and to simply hear whatever reflections, whatever questions are alive for you all today. I would like to have more gatherings in this time where we're staying awake together in the aftermath, And I also want to emphasize that the people, we could say in the 5 states, the beings of the 5 states, but I'll speak directly to Western North Carolina, there's still a tremendous amount of help needed there on so many levels that I'm happy to talk about today. So many levels. We're in touch with people at home every day. We hear stories every day. Some of them are complete loss, and some of them are the absolute discomfort of now having a home that's so full of, that's standing, but so full of mold it can't be lived in, with work that is no longer available because there's no one for that work, with nowhere to go. Okay. It's big. It's big. Shall we open it up and just see what questions, what reflections are here right now? And also there's others who are part of the aftermath more directly, who might have things to share about needs from people back there. Okay. But my job and my heart's intention is always, what are the spiritual teachings of what is arising, and certainly what is the earth's consciousness trying to wake us up to in this time.